Just like hands, feet are kind of a pain to draw consistently, and in this video, I'm gonna yap about how I like to think of the forms of the feet and how that transfers to how I can draw them with some level of confidence. And guys, seriously, let's not make it weird. It's purely educational. Alright, let's get into it. So firstly, for the heel in red, in my mind, it really helps to think of the heel as kind of like the base of your calf. It's kind of like this cube-like shape that I think of almost as the origin of the foot. Then in green, getting into the midfoot, this part kind of just extends out of the heel and extends until the ball of your foot, right before your toes. It's kind of like this weird triangular wedge shape, and for some people, the inner side of the foot is actually arched, but this can vary between people. Some people even have a very flat foot. I'll show this more during later parts in the video. Then, like I just mentioned, there's the ball of the foot. This is also in green, but I just want to point it out. At the end of the midfoot, there's kind of going to be a more thick part that the toes extend out of. This is super obvious, but I just want to make these distinctions so you guys know what I'm talking about throughout the video. Then getting into the toes are kind of really annoying to draw, and based on your style, you'll draw them differently. I like to go about drawing them very similarly to fingers, which is by bunching them up to make dynamic aesthetic shapes. Again, I'll refer more to this later. Lastly, I just want to talk about the ankle calf area. Obviously, this is where the foot connects to the leg, but I just want to take note of how the heel and midfoot interlock with the calf and how that translates into drawings. With the breakdown done, we're going to move into real life studies. With this first study, take note of the arch of the midfoot. This is accentuated because we are looking at the inner side of the foot. With this next one, take note of the flexibility of the toes. Many people do not have mobility like this in their feet, so they don't really realize that toes are actually supposed to be able to spread just like fingers. And then with this third one, again, take note of the arch of the midfoot. It's much less prominent in the right foot because we're viewing the outer part of it. However, for the left foot, the arch is still very visible, and that's because, again, we're looking at the inner side of the foot. With this next one, I wanted to include this to show how foreshortening works with feet. You can sometimes still even see the heel, even though the heel is all the way in the back. Just keep this in mind when drawing the feet from a straight-on view. Moving into the bottom row, this one is kind of just like a basic view of a foot and how the foot will often be drawn in your drawings if you kind of just have a person just standing there in a neutral pose. It's kind of a boring position for the foot, but I wanted to include it because it's very, generic and baseline. This one's really cool. You can kind of see the separation of the forms of the heel and the balls of the feet very easily, almost as if they literally have a geometrical edge. This actually will come up later, so keep it in mind. This next one is just another one showing the dynamicism of the toes again, how you can even see the toenails even though we're looking at it from the underneath the foot. It just goes to show how much the toes can actually bend. And then this last one is demonstrating what it looks like when someone is up on their tippy toes. The balls of the feet are prominent as well as the arch of the midfoot, while the heel still maintains its boxy shape. And then here's the final shot of the study so you can refer to it. Save this image if you'd like as a cheat sheet. Okay, moving out of real life studies, getting into some artist studies just to see how artists actually translate the same forms to their drawings. Notice how TB overemphasized the ball of the foot. Not only that, but she's making clear lines for each form. One line at the back for the bottom of the heel, then it transitions into the line for the midfoot, ball of the foot, toes. In this Yasuo concept by Hicham, the feet are covered with clothing, but I still want to point out the underlying structure. With this piece, he doesn't push the proportions too haphazardly, so these feet are a good reference to start with in terms of designing. On the other hand, in the final concept sheet for Sigma by Q Fang, I've always loved to refer to his drawing of the feet because he really pushes the proportions and flexibility of the foot in an appealing way. The separation of the different parts of the foot are clear and pushed to the extreme. And not only that, but you can see the lines of the forms very easily, and this is what I was referring to when I was talking about the geometrical edge before. Although some people, actually most people, probably do not have this geometrical shape on the bottom of their feet, it's probably more so curved. It's your choice as an artist whether or not you want to emphasize certain geometrical tendencies. For example, a lot of people in the face do not have very distinct form changes, but sometimes artists will use their artistic license to emphasize those geometrical plane changes. Alright, now that we looked at how I like to break down the feet, we looked at real life examples, and we looked at how other artists break down feet as well, I'm going to get into my own drawings, and then at the end I'm going to show you the breakdown of those drawings as well. By the way guys, this video is to try to point out my observations about the structure of the feet. However, this video will likely just be the beginning for you. But don't let that discourage you though. I think if you really want to learn anatomy, all it really takes is some determination on one specific subject for a bit, and you can get a lot more comfortable drawing that. I encourage you to go study feet, or any other anatomical subject you feel weak in. Seriously, I genuinely believe that you'll surprise yourself with how much you learn in a short period of time. And then yeah, here's the final sketches along with the structure breakdown. Anyway, thanks for listening to my rambling for a bit, and if you'd like more, here's my guide to drawing hands. Thanks, peace.